So let's raise the big talking point tonight. Is now the time coming for the law to catch up with the high and mighty of the Congress party? And joining me tonight to answer that big question, Mahesh Jethmalani, representing the BJP, well-known lawyer himself, Kumar Ketkar, senior editor, joining us from Mumbai, and Siddharth Varadarajan, another senior journalist. Welcome to all of you. Mahesh, let me first begin with you. I do know, right at the very outset, let me just qualify this, that all that has happened today is that a court has issued a summons against Sonia Gandhi, against Rahul Gandhi and a whole host of other Congress leaders. Now, summons are issued against a whole lot of individuals. But in this instance, we're talking about Sonia Gandhi. Mahesh, tell me, is there any precedent that comes to your mind where a political party would have decided to offer a huge loan to a private entity for conducting private business?
I can't think of any. I mean, this is unparalleled, and I must say that, I've seen the complaint before it was filed. I can tell you there's a very strong prima facie case of misappropriation. These are public assets. The National Herald, the company that owns the National Herald, Associated Journal, that company is vested with a lot of property given by many state and central governments for the purpose of perpetuating the freedom struggle and the ideals of the freedom struggle to Jawaharlal Nehru. That is to start a newspaper so that ideas could be propagated. Now, these properties are in Mumbai, in Indore, in New Delhi on Bahadur Shah Zafar Marg, as you know, and they're spread out all over the country. They are worth anything between 2,000 to 5,000 crores. They now become, this is largest given for a noble purpose by many state and central governments to this company which owns National Herald and the other sister allied publications. Right. Now it becomes the private property by a extremely blatant and audacious fraud of a company which is private limited company, 76% of which is owned by Rahul Gandhi and Sonia Gandhi. So at one stroke, and a collusion of office bearers of the Congress, collusion of office bearers of associate journals, and of course the beneficiaries apart from Sonia and Rahul are Sam Pitroda and Suman Dubey.
So who's the main person who's guilty according to you, Mahesh? Who is the main person guilty according to you, sir?
Sonia and Rahul. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi, they're the principal beneficiaries.
Okay.
They have taken a loan from the Congress party, of which he's the chairperson and he's the vice president.
Right.
They have bought over the shares fraudulently, used that loan to buy over the shares fraudulently of this company which owns National Herald.
Right.
And then they are the principal beneficiaries of the new company, owning almost 2,000 to 5,000 crores of real estate.
Okay.
And then they use it and they rent out these properties. They become landlords. Okay.
So
the whole thing is a shocking abuse of power, and I am not surprised that Abhishek Singhvi is not getting into the merits on the ground of sub judice.
Yes.
But don't forget that this matter has been in the public domain much before, and there has been a conspiracy of silence on the part of every Congress member to discuss this issue, even when the matter was not sub judice.
In fact, Mahesh, the very fact that there was a loan which was given by the All India Congress Committee account to Associate Journals Limited was a fact which was admitted to by the Congress party only after the story first came in public domain. But Kumar Ketkar, let me come to you and let me just present before you, sir, a very specific fact from this complaint. Rahul Gandhi decides to float a Section 25 company, which effectively implies that this company is not for profit purposes. Then out of nowhere, in a very bizarre kind of a financial transaction, his company, Young Indian, manages to appropriate a loan of 90 crore rupees by only declaring its intent to pay a sum of 50 lakh rupees. Does this not sound fishy at the very outset to you, Kumar Ketkar?
Well, at the outset, many things sound very, very fishy, but the question is these large figures and the allegations, unproved allegations so far will not impress me at all. I consider this is a replay of 1977. There may be or may not be irregularity, courts will decide and the lawyers will decide. But lawyers can always have allegations and say hyperbolically that they are true, already they are proved, as if they argue as if they are already proved. So this is a replay of 1977 when Mrs. Gandhi and Sanjay Gandhi, Indira Gandhi and Sanjay Gandhi were accused of something like 47 crimes, quote unquote crimes, to the level that some of the people said that it should be equal to judgment of Nuremberg. It should be like judgment of Nuremberg under the Shah, Grover and Sherat cases. And what happened? None of the case survived.
No, but
so
you know,
I
sir,
don't
there is a
think this
difference.
replay
But
of
may I just
entire politics of vendetta. No, Bhupen, this is a politics of vendetta.
You have
I
a
don't
point.
know whether legally it is
It
tenable
could
or
well
not.
be.
I
No,
don't know.
I'm with you.
I
I'm
don't
with
know
you,
the
sir.
facts.
Which is why at the very outset I said that all that has happened today is that just summons have been issued against individuals. I'm completely in agreement with you on that one. But there is a difference in the comparison that you're trying to draw, sir. And may I just point out to you that the difference is that in this case, the Congress party, led by its senior leader Janardhan Dwivedi, itself has admitted that they indeed did give a loan to a private entity and they had not disclosed this earlier. According to the election laws, it seems to be a crime. I've checked it up with the Election Commission. The Congress president can actually be acted against only and only on the basis of the fact that they decided to give a loan from the Congress party's accounts to a private entity, sir.
No, but there is Congress working committee, there is president, there have been different presidents, and I think, I mean not Congress president, but different working committees. So they must have studied the law. I have no access to the original papers, original documents, original allegations or original defense.
Right.
So how can I argue whether Rahul Gandhi is guilty or not? I think it is completely wrong to say he is guilty, as almost it is completely wrong to say he is not guilty.
Okay.
Just as when we were alleging in the press
Right.
just as we were alleging in the press that Narendra Modi has addressed 440 meetings, each meeting costing 2 crores to 10 crores, and from where the money has come, that was allegation from our side.
Right.
It was not proved, it was not unproved, it was not even counter-argued.
But we're talking about a court
So
summons
all
here.
these things
We
are
must make out a
political
distinction,
vendetta.
sir. Now the comparison that you're drawing, I mean, you're talking about a court comparison.
Summons,
But
I mean,
you're
what the
entitled to a
hell,
point.
yeah?
I
What are
agree.
you talking?
I
What
agree.
is the court summons? Court summons will be no court summons will come. I mean, what is there? What is so great about having a court summons?
Siddharth
There are 3
Varadarajan,
crore cases
therefore-
being,
Okay.
3 crore cases according to Supreme Court judge.
Therefore,
3
let me-
crore cases have
May
not
I-
been
may I
handled.
just take that to
No
Siddharth?
summons have been issued for
May I
3
just
crore
take that to
cases,
Siddharth? May I
and they
just-
find out only one case out of 3 crore cases. Out of 3 crore cases, they find out one case clearly smacks of political vendetta. I don't care, and I don't know what is wrong and what is right.
Okay, but Siddharth Varadarajan, do you also buy this line which is being given by Kumar Ketkar that we need to wait? And I tend to agree partially with that we need to wait, because all that's happened, they keep saying, is that courts have issued summons. But I'm just looking at some of the facts in the complaint, and I'm looking at the order which has been passed by the court today. These are some very damaging points. Would you at least say that this is huge embarrassment which is being mounted against, which is being leveled against Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi, Siddharth?
Look, Bhupen, let's set aside the legal, the legal case and the procedures, because that obviously the law is going to take its own course now.
Sure.
But I want to go back to 2012, when as journalists we first encountered the expose that Subramanian Swamy and S. Gurumurthy brought into public domain. And the facts of the case were highly, the transaction seemed highly suspect at 2 levels. The first is, of course, the basis on what basis did the Congress party make a loan to the Associated Journals, which is the publisher of National Herald, and the owner of properties, as Mr. Jethmalani said, across different cities amounting to anywhere from 2,000 to 5,000 crores. So that's question number 1. Does that conflict with the Congress party's, with the election laws and so on and so forth?
Right.
The second transaction, which I find even more dubious, is how does the Congress allow a loan of 90 crore advanced by the party to the Associated Journals? How does that get converted into the property of a separate private company called Young Indian, where Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi are the majority shareholders, simply because with Young Indian paying 50 lakhs? And even if you can argue that, okay, fine, the Congress party is entering into some kind of internal arrangement with Sonia, who is after all the Congress president. At the time when Young Indian was set up, Rahul Gandhi was just an ordinary office holder. He was just, he became vice president in January 2013.
Right.
So clearly, this is a shell company set up in order to transfer assets from Associated Journal to the family. Now, the family and the Congress spokespersons have said, and there is merit in that needs to be investigated as to the logic of this transaction as well. It's a Section 25 company. So it's not for profit, no income, no salary can be drawn. These are all fair points. But
Right.
Be that as it may, the Congress party has simply failed to explain what the need for this convoluted transaction really was.
Now, you're
If
using
the
the
idea
term
was to save
convoluted.
National Herald.
Just hold on, because you're using the word convoluted, and I just want to explain to our viewers and maybe to all of you also, because it's not just about this company, Young India, which was floated in 2008, and then suddenly this company ends up acquiring this entire 100% holding in Associate Journals. Because if you look at how the equation between Associate Journals Limited and the Congress party is playing out right since 2004-2005, look at this. Losses of Associate Journals are 20 crores in 2004-2005, but it gets a loan of 18.74 crores by lenders who are described as others. In the next year, subsequent year 2005-2006, the company's losses increased to 29.44 crores, but again it gets a loan from another entity described in its record books as others to the proportion of 31.8 crores. Finally, in 2009-2010, the loss of Associate Journal is 72 crores, and lo and behold, the loan which has been offered is 89.6 crores. Mahesh Jethmalani, is this a case of money laundering, frankly? Is that what we're really talking about?
Well, that's another aspect, but that's not part of the complaint, we must emphasize. But of course, that seems to be a case of patent money laundering. And I'm again surprised by supporters of the Congress party like Kumar Ketkar. I mean, you don't deal with the merits of the case, and it's a matter of the utmost contempt to say that this is all political vendetta, as if a magistrate who sees the matter has examined the case over a period of 1 year, examined all the documents, Swami's statement, evidence of witnesses, as if that person is a party to this vendetta, and that person is not going to screen the case properly. And this is complete disrespect of the judiciary, just because it happens to be a magistrate. And the people on the other side happen to be powerful persons, and then you start recalling 1977 vendetta. 1977 cases were filed by the government. This is filed by Dr. Subramaniam Swamy as a private complainant. Please note. And he has in fact said that he's surprised at the government. Today I saw his statement. In fact, he said that I could do this. I don't know why the government won't do this. Hinting at what? Is there some kind of cross-floor accommodation that big people won't touch each other?
Is the Congress, Kumar Ketkar, is the Congress simply not managing to put up a credible defense? Last time also when the story first appeared, we heard the same point, that this is a BJP conspiracy. This is Dr. Swamy at his best. Again, I'm listening to Dr. Abhishek Manu Singhvi, who's saying, I will respond at an appropriate time. He's entitled to come up with a properly framed response. But the facts, and I'm presenting very basic facts here, Kumar Ketkar. I'm presenting only things, straight from the complainants, from the complaint petition, as well as facts which have come out in public domain. Would you say the Congress is not managing to deal with this in a correct manner?
Bhupen, I think it is necessary to recognize that I do not have all the facts which are alleged as well as the defense.
Fair
so
enough.
I cannot declare like Mahesh Jethmalani can. I mean, Subramanian Swamy and Mahesh Jethmalani and Ram Jethmalani can declare many people guilty or many people non-guilty on television channels and in the press. Like they have already alleged that Sonia Gandhi has a huge account in Swiss Bank. I don't have, and now suddenly Arun Jaitley says that he has only blank space, white space, and not a so-called blacklist. And yet Ram Jethmalani was on record saying that he has all the facts about the Swiss Bank account of Sonia Gandhi. So all this same characters, same people in 1977, and now Mahesh Jethmalani may say that these situations are not comparable. They
But the
are
facts,
comparable. I
sir,
want to
the
repeat
facts. Look
that
at
there
what
are 3
Siddharth
crore
Varadarajan is
cases
saying.
pending, and only one
Mr.
case
Ketkar,
you pick up.
Mr. Ke-
They are
look,
comparable. It is
sir,
political vendetta. I don't know. I am not saying Mrs. Gandhi is guilty or non-guilty. I am not saying Rahul
I'm not
is
on that
guilty or not
point.
guilty.
I'm just.
If they are guilty,
Would you
punish them.
Would
If
you?
they are not guilty,
Sir,
acquit
sir,
them.
but-
If they are guilty, punish them.
Sir.
If they are non-guilty, acquit them. But I cannot sitting here say that they are guilty. which
Why?
Jethmalani
Is that,
can say,
let me put it this
Subramanian
way.
can
Is
say,
that because
they
the
are
complainant is
capable
Dr.
of saying
Subramanian
that?
Swamy?
I am not capable
Kumar,
of saying
Mr.
that.
Ketkar, is your concern, are you expressing this concern because the complainant in this case happens to be Dr. Subramanian Swamy?
I think the record shows very clear what Subramanian Swamy, Ram Jethmalani have been doing for last 30-40 years. So I am not saying that their main enemy is not even Congress. Their main enemy was never UPA. Their main enemy has always been the Nehru-Gandhi family. When it was Indira, it was Indira. When Sonia was not in picture at
But
all.
don't you think the
Sonia
story
had
is
not even
different?
married,
Mr.
and
Ketkar,
Sonia
the
had
story
not
is
come to
different.
India. Ever since then, ever since their main enemy has been Indira
Sir,
Gandhi,
look at the
Sonia Gandhi,
allegations.
Rajiv Gandhi,
I
Rahul
agree,
Gandhi.
I
So
agree.
I think it is all expected.
Sir.
This replay, Bhupen, this entire drama was exactly going on according to expectations.
Mahesh Jethmalani, you know, Abhishek Singhvi makes a point that this is Dr. Swamy at his best. Kumar Ketkar says that this is Dr. Swamy's wild imaginations. But I'm just looking at the facts and I'm looking at what the judge has said.
I am not saying wild imagination. No, I am not saying it is wild imagination. I am saying that Subramaniam Swamy and Jethmalani have been arguing and building such cases for long.
Okay.
Whether that is wild imagination or not, that will be decided in court.
Sure, fair enough. But Mahesh Jethmalani,
One minute.
Yeah, Mahesh, you want to respond? Sure, Mahesh.
This is, I mean, Kumar Ketkar is now taking this to a personal level. The fact of the matter is, Swamy's credentials are well known. The magistrate has vetted what he has said. For God's sake, she has found there's a prima facie case against him. Nobody is saying, and Kumar Ketkar is putting words in our mouth to try and fortify his argument that this is vendetta and just blind prejudice. No, it is not. We are saying a prima facie case has been discovered. They will get their day in court. But according to us, we have examined it as lawyers and as enlightened citizens, and we feel there's much more to this than meets the eye. It can't be dismissed lightly, and the court, now that the court has added its weight behind it, it is certainly worthy of much more consideration than dismissing it as some political opponent's, a figment of his imagination or his political vendetta.
Well, I'm in partial agreement with both what is being suggested by Mahesh Jethmalani and with Mr. Kumar Ketkar, because on one hand, you have to admit that these are mere summons, but on the other, the more you look at facts, the more you look at details coming out of the complaint, it does make you wonder, Siddharth Varadarajan, whether Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi on this one are really in the dock. Let me present another fact before you. Out of all the shareholders from Associate Journals Limited, imagine, every person who was a part of the original shareholding pattern which was created way back in 1938, most of them have died, all of them have in fact died. The only 2-3 people who are alive are all people whose names have been included in the shareholding pattern in personal handwriting, and the only 2 individuals from the Gandhi family who tend to be beneficiaries are Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi. None of the other shareholders have managed to pass the shareholding, Siddharth, to their legal heirs. Now again, that's a question that could be raised, that how is it that only at the end of the day members of one family, and in 2014 when this deal is finally struck, there are only 2 people who end up being beneficiaries. Would I be correct then in saying, Siddharth, that this one is going to be a tough one for Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi?
Look, this transaction is problematic at so many different levels. I mean, from the point of view of company law, the rights of shareholders, you have shareholders who paid up capital and were part of the AJIL. Now, surely, even if they've died, as you said, they have descendants. There would be inheritance.
And there is none.
Assets, valuable assets. They're valuable assets that should have passed on to the hands of all shareholders. Instead, what's happened is a very convoluted deal has been structured in such a way that the ownership of all of AJIL's assets has passed over 76% of it into the hands of Sonia and Rahul. Now, the Congress party may have a reason why it's done this way. So far, they haven't given any reason, and whenever, when Janardhan Dwivedi, Motilal Vora, others were asked this in 2012, they tied themselves in knots. Rahul Gandhi went on record to the Pioneer newspaper to say, young Indian, we have no intention of reviving National Herald. Janardhan Dwivedi and Motilal Vora say, no, actually, out of sentimental attachment, we do want to try to revive National Herald. Well, if that was the aim, why couldn't you just have a simple transaction between the Congress, between AICC and AJIL, between Associated Journals? Why does young Indian have to come into the picture at all?
And therefore,
so these are questions that I hope the case and the trial will shed some light.
In conclusion,
and, whether there's been wrongdoing, this is something that will come out of it.
In conclusion, Mr. Ketkar, aren't you worried? Wouldn't you also say that, look at this, you're trying to draw comparisons, let me draw a comparison for you. Look at the allegations which are leveled against Robert Vadra, for instance. For all practical purposes, Sonia Gandhi's son-in-law was dubbed as a property dealer of a private estate company. Now, you look at the allegations being leveled against Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi. Wouldn't there be similarities there also, Mr. Ketkar? This lust for land of members of the first family of the Gandhi family, is that the direction in which the story is moving, sir?
Bhupen, come on, yaar. I mean, they are not the only people, or that's not the only party, or that's not the only company which is having lusting for land.
No, but
I mean,
at the moment we talk about this family. No, at the moment we will, because of the court order, by the
corporate sector. I mean, we are all familiar, and we cannot say everything on television, and we are seeing everything for the lust of land in every sector, far more bizarre, far more obscene, and far more vulgar, and they are getting scot-free.
You don't believe Sonia and Rahul have anything to worry?
Supreme Court judge.
You don't believe they have anything to
No,
worry,
we
Mr.
have a
Kether.
Supreme Court judge who resigns. Supreme Court judge resigns because he considers that he talked about Amit Shah in a positive or
Judge
negative
in waiting,
manner, and
not a
that's why he had
Supreme
to
Court
resign.
judge, a judge in
That
waiting.
shows where we are.
Potential judge.
That shows where we are.
Bottom
Because he made comments against Amit Shah,
Yes.
he has to resign, and he is on record saying that. So
Okay.
what are we talking about? I
Mahej
mean, we are
Jethmalani,
talking
quick
about
final
all the
comment.
bizarre
Mahej
things.
Jethmalani, quick final comment. We're just very near a parliament session now. Can I
First of all, I
expect
don't
this?
understand.
Can I expect
Again,
this
I
case
can't
to be taken
understand
up,
Kumar
Mahesh?
Ketkar's
Can I
argument.
expect
He
this
said that
case
just
to be
because
taken up
other
in
people-
parliament?
It should be taken up in Parliament as well. I think it should be. I mean, though it's sub judice now, so I don't know if it will be. But there's nothing wrong in discussing it because, you know, it concerns public individuals, members of parliamentarians themselves. And the Congress party should perhaps now start looking at a catharsis of its own leadership with these kind of allegations. But that's up to the Congress party. Without the Gandhi family, they have such low self-esteem, they will never get rid of them. But just one last question. Kumar Ketkar's argument seems to be to this effect, that if so many other people have a lust for land and a greed for land, and they aggrandize themselves with land illegally, so what if the Gandhis are doing it? Is that an argument that really merits consideration? And finally,
I'm not saying that's an
Bhupendra,
argument.
this land
I'm not
was
saying that's an
given-
argument.
was not, is not
I am
even
not
the-
saying that's
is
a
not even
defense.
the-
I am not saying that is a defense.
Okay.
1 minute. Let me make just one last
Sure,
point.
sure.
You had your say.
Yes.
Just one last point.
Yes.
This land is probably not even land belonging to Associated Journals, the owner of National Herald and its shareholders. This land was allotted for use for a newspaper. Once in 2008, it was formally announced by the company that ran that newspaper that it is no longer possible financially for it to sustain this newspaper. The land should have reverted to the central and state governments who allotted it for the use of a newspaper.
All right, gentlemen, thank you so
It is
much.
public property.
All right, it's public property. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me on this edition of India at 9. All that I can say in conclusion is this, that throughout this bitter election campaign, we didn't really hear Sonia Gandhi or Rahul Gandhi say anything about allegations which are leveled against Robert Vadra. At the end of the day, Robert Vadra was Sonia Gandhi's son-in-law. Now, the allegations are being leveled directly against Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi. Will we hear something from them? Will they manage to break their silence or not? We'll keep tracking that story closely. Time